For nearly a millennia, the Iron Valley were the conquerors of southern Esterra. While their fortunes waxed and waned, they held great territories, defeated their enemies, and knew none before them. From the Mountain Kings to the Axeman's War, the Endermani and the Low Folk, seeing Valley Folk banners on the horizon seldom meant peace. They were champions of their people. But time, as it always does, has a habit of blurring our greatest truths. In the current age, the Iron Valley is bloodied and bruised, but not beaten. The last season held many important decisions for the Valley. The most important among them is how they will heal and how they will grow. With even more mountain paths before them, these folk in iron will carve the legend into the age of heroes as surely as their ancestors did. Kneel or be broken. Inside the valley are two tales. One that is of the conqueror, the war bands that broke the Bay-like kings, that fought the might of Artabasan to a standstill, defeated Pothos the Golden, and raised one of the greatest empires in southern Esterra. These are the champions of their history, such as Red Macroth the Slayer, Freydis Longarm, and King Baylag the Ninth. While each of these heroes has changed and morphed over thousands of retellings, the martial legend and culture flows as strong in the valley now as it did then, but their axe is blunted, their shield broken. The other tale is that of great builders, of Dueling the hero, King Baylag I, and Kefrida the Carver. They raised up the massive structures that survived storm and sleet, that survived raiders and invasion, and that survived betrayal and boon. They were builders before their time, and they forged home that allowed the valley to survive in a land that was equal parts coveted and condemned. But their great homes are lost, their fortresses stolen by squatters. As the Concord shifts, with opportunity on the horizon to make real advances against their enemies, the valley is looking inside itself. There have been too many losses, heroic and otherwise. There have been too many lost opportunities, and too much disunity. As the valley does with all things, it looks to its past. This introspection has been aided by the High Historian, Dahab al-Majil. As the archivists and agents of the civil service sweep across the Iron Valley and beyond, seeking out the legends of old gods, they unearth much history lost or obscured in this misremembering. While the exact contents of the High Historian's report are yet to be known, there is rumour. These rumours tell of the valley's ancient past and its warrior heroes, of a time when the valley marched under the red antlers of the Bloodglass stag, and the warriors swore on their blades that they would conquer the world. While these gods may be heathen now, their legend still exists. Those boroughs across the valley that see the Iron Valley's future in its conqueror's past have adopted these sigils, adorning their arms, shields, and brows with the blood-red antlers of the Bloodglass stag. They believe that the Iron Valley can only be redeemed when the Elsevier, the Onyx, and any other who dares call the valley foe know that they have already been condemned themselves to a shallow, mournless grave alongside each of their brethren. But there are others who see in the stones around them, and in what they now protect as their last. They see a different future, a path through fog of what may be into a grand citadel. A Concordian future where the valley folk are hailed as great builders who erect shelters that will protect one and all, who will raise great churches, who will dream wonders of stone, iron and timber so great that they will be the envy of the heralds. These boroughs adorn themselves with the crenellated patterns of the valley's great fortresses, reminding themselves of what they have already achieved. Two paths through a murky future lay before the valley. How shall it respond? Game information. As the Iron Valley looks for a national mythos to guide it through the most recent misfortunes, two have risen, the Great Builders and the Bloodglass Inheritors. Those characters who believe that the future of the valley lies in its martial culture and its history as a great power may choose the path of the Bloodglass Inheritors. For one day of the summit, each Iron Valley character may adorn their arms, head or shield with the sigil of the blood-red antlers. Doing so will grant them an additional energy or additional mana skill for that day. Those characters who believe that the future of the valley lies in its great work as engineers, craftsfolk and industrialists may choose the path of the Great Builders. For one day of the summit, each Iron Valley character may adorn their arms, head or shield with a crenellated pattern. Doing so will grant them the Deathless skill for that day. If they already have the Deathless skill, they will gain the Unstoppable skill. Each character can only select one path and only for one day. The effect remains for that day provided they are still adorned with the mark. They may reapply. The overall choice of the heroic delegation from the Valley will reflect the beliefs of the Valley as a whole and guide the story of the Valley folk forward. Alternatively, if your character believes strongly against both paths, they may choose a different design or no design at all. While these will not have a mechanical effect, a large enough representation may guide the story of the Valley in a different direction. The High Historian's research for this coming season relates very closely to the history of the Iron Valley, their time as great and powerful conquerors, and their fall from power. This research will be given to Dahab al-Majil to censor, or not, before release to the public. Those characters with interest in this copy should seek him out, or seek out the archives at the hub later in the summit. Not children of men, but children of the gods. The Valley finds itself surrounded by foes old and new. In the east, the Elsevier still hide, carving away at their mysteries. In the south, a once vanquished rival returns with blade in hand. In the mountains, the shadows of their own heretical past have returned to haunt them. The Rotted Pelt, that cult of heathens who has spread through Bolsley and Windholm for the greater part of the year, have dealt the Valley a grievous blow. Many of the greatest Valley folk alive lie dead, broken on the mountainside beneath the temple to the Great Stone Bear. Those broken and misshapen cultists snarling and roaring their defiance into an uncaring blizzard while the besieging summiters look on in dismay. The Rotted Pelt struck a blow, but it is one that has sealed their fate. With no success in a frontal assault, forces of the Valley besieged the Valley of the Bear over summit. When the harvests were at their greatest, and it was time to grow, the Rotted Pelt began to starve. Summiters, borough guards, and mercenaries held the line against meagre skirmishers and penned in this caged animal. The Valley knows that charging up to that rock-strewn graveyard is a fool's errand, so they will see this foul heresy starved and weak before they place an axe in its skull. As the weather turns and the snow begins to fall in the high places, the Valley knows that their time draws nearer. Whatever supplies the Rotted Pelt have been able to scavenge will surely not survive from the winter, and come the summer summit, the priests of the Valley will be able to ascend the mountain pass and break down their idols in the name of the Church. Their souls may be condemned, but their blasphemy in stone and bone will be carved from the earth by true Iron Valley hearts. But now is the time to prepare, to make hard decisions and look to the mountaintops. Something is moving out there in the ice. Something more than a bear. Something more than a man. Gain information. There will be decisions in regards to the Rotted Pelt this coming season for the Champion of the Valley, the Reeves Council, and the Senators of Windholm and Bosterley. It appears that the attack on the cult, while a failure, has drawn the vast majority of its worshippers back to defend the mountain temple. This, coupled with the success of the Iron Valley priests in crafting great icons of the spheres and touring the regions, have rejuvenated a divine fervour. Any Iron Valley character can feel free to include the following roleplay prompt in their play. All our dead are released to the spheres and will return to us in time. Those heathens who stand against us will know the kiss of the abyss and the edge of my axe. I love my lost, and I know I will see them again soon. Heretics will only know a cold greater than any winter's bite. Secrets of the Forbidden Sea. It might have been a small thing, the creation of the township of Yalstead. Barely more than a few piers and a halfway decent tavern surrounded by cottages and then farmsteads. But it has awoken something in the valley, something lost to the bergs and the drowned, the way of the Jarl. These mystic mariners have flocked to the small township in the Bay of Promised Gold in great numbers over the past season, their longships dotting the shore and crammed around the jetties as more pontoons and moorages are scrambled together. A great many of these wanderers had heard tales of a new settlement where the valley once again grasped the sea and returned from hundreds of different ports and bolt holes. Many of them bear the scars of Andersley and beyond, but all of them carry the homesickness that the meagre settlement of Jarlstead has healed with its ramshackle touch. But more than that, the Jarls are not beaten, far from that. They have already made themselves known. A force of Concordian vessels, led by the honorary Jarl Luden and his scaled captains, have passed the Cape of Baelites and sailed all the way to Andersley. These ships were as varied as their captains. A hefty Laronamere warship dubbed Le Tyrant's Malediction, the beautiful Andashi sloop Incendio, and more. These ships evade foes of many different banners in pursuit of one thing in particular, a Jarl home. These hidden coves protected the Jarls, their ships, and their legends for centuries. Using the secret tides of their forefathers, the Iron Valley Jarls lead their Concordian allies into a hidden break in the armour of the Onyx aristocracy. While it is up to them to tell you exactly the tale that they wove, it is safe to say that many of the dead never made it to Wayland. As this ragtag fleet returns home, breaking apart like an ice-reach berg as they seek out their home ports, those Jarls can't help but imagine. They call Bolsterley home now, and it is unlikely that their once homes of Andersley will be returned to the folds anytime soon. Bolsterley needs a Jarl home. Game information. The Concordian attempt to explore the Jarl homes has been a great success. Characters who followed this endeavour will have an additional brief in their character packs detailing their adventure and some supplies retrieved from the lost Jarl home in Andersley. There will be decisions and information regarding Jarls, Jarlstead, and Bolsterley for the Senator of Bolsterley. The Senate could request an appraisal of a Jarl home in Bolsterley through using the power of appraisal. The Senate can only request 2 appraisals per season. By our hands be risen, by our hearts be known. In the other lands of the Concord there are great noble houses, the loyal coterias, the secretive havens, and the influential clans. In the valley, there are only the boroughs. These bonds of blood, history, and hearth that carve these people together like stone. As the valley weathers strike after strike, it only drives them closer together. But these wounds in the valley has turned inwards. Each person returns to their borough and their people's history. More than ever before, it's the individual boroughs that will heal and lead the valley, rather than the valley as a whole. As the summit begins to loom, it is these people that send their delegates, and these people that welcome newcomers in from the cold. New reeves make their way by foot, sail, and wagon wheel to passage, and there is safety in the knowledge that the valley will never truly be lost until the last borough is sealed and forgotten, a future that could never occur. Game information. The valley turns inwards in times of hardship, holding each other up. While this is sometimes interpreted as the whole of the valley, and often is, the real foundations of these people is the borough. Every Iron Valley band, not sect, will gain a single investment's worth of additional resources, which investment will be based on the most common investment within that band, and this will be paid to the reeve of that band. Each Iron Valley reeve of a band will receive additional information and opportunities to make their influence felt at this coming summit. That concludes my reading of We Are the Bloodglass Inheritors. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time.